Arsenal are lining up a sensational move for PSG's South Korean star. Who is this player, and how much will the Gunners pay? Ederson leaving Manchester City for Galatasaray? The Turkish giants have already made an official bid. Newcastle have found the perfect replacement for Isak at £70 million. Manchester United are finally signing Amorim, the midfielder of their dreams. All that and loads more in today's episode. But before we get into it, as always, don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up. Ready? Let's jump into the latest transfer rumors. Arsenal have proper jumped the queue for Lee Kang-in. While Man United were sat around thinking about it, PSG were chatting away, and Napoli were just having a look. The Gunners have actually done something. Caught offside reckon Arsenal were first to get hold of the player directly. Went through their sporting director Andrea Berta. United supposedly made some sort of move back in May, but that went nowhere fast. And looking at things now, they'll have to get their skates on. Not even sure they'll catch up. Lee's quite fancy leaving himself. The South Korean winger's having a bit of a mixed time at PSG. Yeah, he ended last season looking alright. 7 goals, 6 assists. But he's still not getting enough game time. Lee's already seriously thinking about getting out and has told the PSG bigwigs straight, not interested in a new deal, mate. His contract runs till 2028, but talks about extending it are basically dead in the water. The lad wants to be a regular starter, and at PSG, the competition's absolutely mental. PSG, fair play to them, are happy to let Lee Kang-in leave, but only if someone pays up properly. How much exactly? Nobody knows yet, but definitely more than the 22 million euros they paid Mallorca 2 years back. Why Arsenal makes sense. Dead obvious, really. They need exactly this sort of player. Lee's not just your standard right winger, he can do bits everywhere. Technically, he's class, knows the game inside out, loves coming inside on that left foot of his. Basically fits what Arteta wants like a glove. What's the deal with United? Bit complicated that Lee would probably have to fit into this system with 2 number 10s playing off the striker. Getting used to 3-4-2-1, working out where he fits with Bruno Fernandes and whoever else Amorim sticks in midfield. Who knows? Plus United's got loads of players fighting for spots too. Arsenal's offering something much clearer, and they're not just talking, they've actually made contact. Word is, if the price is right, North London are ready to get moving and have it done by August. Transfer window shuts 1 September, so time's running out fast. Bottom line, Lee just wants to play football, not every now and then, not coming off the bench for the last 10 minutes. Properly play. And if PSG can't give him that, someone else will. And right now, that someone looks like Arsenal. The goalkeeper saga at Manchester City looks set to kick off properly, and Ederson's going to be the main man in this drama. Word is, Turkish side Galatasaray are dead serious about the Brazilian and have already, shall we say, put their money where their mouth is. The Turks have tabled an official bid of 10 million euros, but City took one look at it, had a chuckle, and made it clear they won't give the green light unless the offer improves significantly. If there's one thing for certain, City aren't about to flog their key players on the cheap, and Ederson himself seems quite keen on a change of scenery. Last summer, he was hoping to jet off to Saudi Arabia for a massive payday, but none of the Saudi clubs could agree terms with Manchester City. The keeper stayed put, but apparently that desire for a hefty wage packet hasn't gone anywhere. And now Galatasaray, they say, are dangling an absolutely mental contract. 8 million euros per season over 5 years. That package would make him one of the highest paid players in Turkish football history. Sounds tempting, doesn't it? For Ederson, it's a chance to lead a new project. Succeed Fernando Muslera, plus Champions League football on offer. Right, quick break so you can hit like or dislike on this video. Any reaction helps. Cheers for the support, it really helps the channel. But here's where it gets juicy. Who might replace the Brazilian? According to Fabrizio Romano again, if Ederson does leave, City could pull off a blinding deal and sign Gianluigi Donnarumma from PSG. The Italians become surplus to requirements in Paris after newcomer Lucas Chevalier pushed him out the team. In just weeks, he's gone from indispensable to expendable. He's only got a year left on his contract, meaning PSG might let him go for a cut price somewhere around £40 million or even less. Reports say Donnarumma's already opened the door to City, and personal terms shouldn't be an issue. For City, it's a brilliant opportunity to bag a world-class keeper for decent money. And for Donnarumma himself, moving to City would be a proper lifeline, a chance to reboot a career that seemed to be stalling. And that's exactly why City are playing hardball with Galatasaray. They're not worried about losing one of their most reliable players because they've already got a replacement lined up. So we've got an interesting domino effect brewing. Galatasaray ups their Ederson bid, City sell him, take that cash, add their own, and buy Donnarumma. Ederson gets his mega deal. Donnarumma gets a career restart at a top club, and City might even come out ahead while securing a top keeper for years to come. Not a bad swap at all. Nottingham Forest are pushing hard to sign Douglas Luiz from Juventus. The Brazilian moved to Turin just a year ago for a hefty 50 million euros, but the transfer's been an absolute disaster. Now the midfielder could return to the Premier League for considerably less. We're talking 35 million euros. According to The Athletic, Nuno Espirito Santo's side are deep in negotiations. Luiz has been linked with Everton and even Leeds United, but Forest are closest to getting the deal done. The Tricky Trees are playing Europa League football this season, which clearly gives them an edge in the Brazilians' eyes. The 27-year-old midfielders had a nightmare year at Juventus. Not only did he fail to meet expectations, he also managed to leave the team's training camp without permission this summer, earning himself a proper hammering from critics. The managerial change didn't help either. Igor Tudor reckoned Luiz didn't suit his 3-4-2-1 system. Granted, the coach recently suggested the Brazilian might work as an attacking midfielder, but that's irrelevant now. La Gazzetta dello Sport reports the players one step away from moving to the City ground. Friday saw crucial negotiations, after which we got that famous white smoke. All parties agreed the transfer's happening. Personal terms are already sorted, and Forest are confident of wrapping things up. For Juventus, selling Luiz is strategically important. Italian sources claim the Brazilian's departure will clear the path for signing Randal Kolo Muani. Turin clearly want rid of their failed investment and to reinvest the money in someone new. Luiz once impressed at Aston Villa, but Birmingham's financial troubles forced his move to Italy. Now the Brazilian's got a chance to rebuild his reputation in England. With Forest playing European football, Douglas will get enough game time to prove himself. Question is whether he can rediscover his old form after that disastrous Serie A campaign. Gonçalo Ramos remains, unfortunately, a PSG player. However, the Portuguese forward could find himself at Newcastle before the transfer deadline. The Daily Mail indicates that intermediaries are already suggesting a potential transaction. PSG seek an outright sale, ruling out loan arrangements. Luis Enrique doesn't consider Ramos a first-choice option. Merely 16 starting appearances last season. For a player acquired for £56 million, this represents failure. His record of 34 goals in 87 matches appears respectable, though insufficient for an elite club. Newcastle, meanwhile, face considerable concern. Alexander Isak is determined to depart St. James's Park, with Liverpool monitoring developments closely. Eddie Howe offered ambiguous comments regarding the Swedish striker's availability, deliberately non-committal. The implications are clear. Media outlets previously suggested Ramos was no longer the primary target. However, circumstances have evolved. Newcastle have been informed the Portuguese international could become available. His wage demands prove problematic. £200,000 weekly. This would establish him as Newcastle's highest-earning player ever. The salary itself is manageable, though the transfer fee exceeding $70 million creates an excessive total investment. Most intriguingly, sources doubt Ramos desires Newcastle at all. The player declined Manchester United, Chelsea, and Juventus this summer. All elite clubs were rejected. Yet intermediaries believe Newcastle might succeed. Questionable reasoning certainly. Newcastle have monitored Ramos since his Benfica tenure. As Isak's replacement, an excellent proposition. Technical ability, pace, self-sufficiency in chance creation. Though he's hardly Newcastle's sole consideration. Consensus suggests Newcastle will acquire a striker. Without this, Isak's Liverpool transfer becomes impossible. Management won't sanction the Swede's departure without securing a replacement. Therefore, developments warrant attention. Limited time remains, ensuring imminent resolution. Whether Newcastle can persuade the Portuguese to relocate to England's northeast remains uncertain. Alexander Zinchenko appears increasingly likely to depart Arsenal, with Fenerbahce emerging as the probable destination for the Ukrainian international. According to media sources, the Turkish powerhouse has achieved substantial agreement with Arsenal concerning the player's transfer. This development transcends speculation. Fenerbahce's sporting director Devin Ozek traveled personally to London for negotiations with Arsenal counterpart Andrea Berta. Initial discussions commenced at €10 million, the figure initially proposed by the Turkish club for Zinchenko. Through progressive negotiations, the parties have reached consensus, with only finalization remaining. However, Porto's emergence could potentially disrupt proceedings. The Portuguese club have expressed interest in acquiring the player, establishing contact with both parties, though no formal offer has materialized. Their silence remains temporary. Fenerbahce recognized the urgency of expediting proceedings. Despite this competition, Fenerbahce maintained their position as favorites, primarily due to Jose Mourinho's presence. The prospect of working under the renowned manager represents considerable appeal, potentially offering Zinchenko an opportunity for career revitalization. His current situation at Arsenal has deteriorated. Mikel Arteta has progressively marginalized the player tactically, effectively excluding him from regular consideration. With one contract year remaining and Arsenal amenable to sale, Zinchenko apparently acknowledges the necessity of pursuing new opportunities, particularly considering international commitments and World Cup aspirations. Whilst competitive interest typically benefits negotiations, salary expectations present the primary obstacle. Neither Fenerbahce nor Betis may match his current London remuneration. Progress depends upon the player's willingness to compromise financially. Regarding Betis, Manuel Pellegrini's organization have entered negotiations. The manager personally advocates for the 28-year-old versatile defender, recognizing his capacity for both left-back and midfield deployment. Financial constraints remain problematic. The Seville-based club lack resources to meet Zinchenko's wage demands. Nevertheless, they remain prepared to negotiate, explore possibilities, and identify solutions given their genuine requirement for such profile. The situation presents clear alternatives. Fenerbahce possess financial capability, Mourinho's influence, and negotiation advancement, whilst Betis demonstrate interest without corresponding resources. Porto maintains strategic silence, though their capacity for decisive late intervention remains acknowledged. Resolution ultimately depends upon Alexander's priorities. The choice between maintaining substantial wages whilst awaiting opportunities versus accepting reduced terms for immediate regular football defines his decision. Conclusion appears imminent within days, with momentum building towards resolution. The Nicolas Jackson situation's getting serious now. Reports say the Chelsea striker's already told his mates he wants to join Aston Villa this summer. Football Insider confirms Jackson's on Birmingham's shortlist as they're actively hunting for a striker to boost their attack. Meanwhile, Newcastle United are also sniffing around. The Tyneside club are eyeing the 24-year-old Senegalese and ready to enter the race. Why is this even happening? At Chelsea, Jackson's dropped down the pecking order after the summer signings of Liam Delap and João Pedro. Yes, he's improved since arriving from Villarreal in July 2023. No arguments there, but facts are facts. His status in the squad's become secondary, meaning the decision ahead is absolutely crucial. His numbers aren't shabby either. Nearly 100 games for Chelsea, 30 goals, 12 assists. Stats that won't go unnoticed in the Premier League. Now for the money talk. Reports suggest Chelsea are ready to drop their asking price from £80 to £60 million. And here's where it all clicks. Villa are in the Europa League and won't get far without proper competition for Ollie Watkins, especially if they want to keep pace in England and Europe. Jackson fits the profile perfectly. Plus, his personal desire to reunite with Unai Emery is a strong argument for Birmingham. He worked under him at Villarreal. Makes sense. Newcastle have their own motivation. Reports claim Alexander Isak's decision to no longer play for the club has forced the Magpies to urgently scour the market for a number 9. Against this backdrop, Jackson's a viable target. Age, versatility, price tag that's negotiable. Question is who'll give him the role he's after right now. At Chelsea, everything seems headed for a conclusion. The player wants more minutes and clear status. The club's ready to negotiate and lower the price. Competitors are already circling. His exit looks practically inevitable. For Villa, it's a chance to strengthen one of their weakest areas without breaking the bank. For Newcastle, an opportunity to quickly replace a key attacking figure. The risks are obvious too. At Villa, Jackson definitely won't displace Watkins immediately. He'll have to share minutes. Question: is he ready for that arrangement? Then again, with Europa League football, there'll be plenty of rotation and minutes to go around. At Newcastle, the role might be bigger, but competition there isn't easy either. What do you reckon? Where's more logical for Jackson? Linking up with Emery in Birmingham or choosing Newcastle with eyes on the number 1 spot? Drop a comment about what you think of the $60 million price tag and where the Senegalese will flourish more. Adam Wharton is on Manchester United's radar, and truth be told, this is not the Red Devils' first attempt to acquire the midfielder. The Independent report that Ruben Amorim is seriously assessing the Crystal Palace player. The problem is the price. £60 million is now being requested. In 2024, he could have been secured for virtually nothing. United declined to rush. The outcome was that the Eagles moved first and paid only £22 million to sign him from Blackburn Rovers. As for those who hesitate and forfeit value, by my statistics, a large share of you watch these videos regularly, yet do not subscribe. Do not be like United's hierarchy in the Wharton case. Do not wait until a subscription costs £60 million, or until the channel becomes so popular you say, "I watched him back then." Simply press the button. It is free. For now, Wharton is 21 and has already made 36 Premier League appearances. He has also won the FA Cup and the Community Shield. He impressed to the extent that he was called up by England, and that after roughly 18 months at Palace. Transfermarkt value him at £39 million, but the club consider that figure laughable. Some Eagles supporters even claim Wharton is a £100 million footballer. Perhaps an exaggeration, but Palace certainly wants £60 million. Wharton's grandmothers are an anecdote in themselves. His father, John, has said the ladies were anxious when their grandson moved to South London. A move to Manchester would be calmer for them. The north of England, closer to home. Wharton himself appears content at Palace and has no regrets. Yet if United make a strong offer, I think his grandma would only be pleased. United scouts followed Wharton while he was at Blackburn. Arsenal and Tottenham watched him as well. Palace, however, took the risk and did not misjudge it. He now has 4 years remaining on his contract, which allows the Eagles to dictate terms. They are doing so, £60 million minimum. Some observers cannot understand why elite clubs are not lining up for Wharton. They argue he is among the best holding midfielders in England. Young, technically sound, energetic. Precisely what United require. It is hard to dispute. He genuinely stands out among his peers. Even Real Madrid are keeping tabs on him. Imagine that, Real Madrid looking at a Crystal Palace player. Times change. Amorim clearly wants to reinforce central midfield, and Wharton is a logical option. The Portuguese wants young, ambitious players ready to work within his system. Wharton fits perfectly. The only issue is the fee. United have tended to overpay in recent years, but £60 million for a player who could have been taken for £20 million is excessive even for them. On the other hand, if the player is truly worth it, perhaps this is not the time to economize. After all, the miser pays twice, and the Red Devils have already demonstrated as much.